Another tremendously bearish day for the markets today. Everything is down. The S&P 500 is down 2.2%. Gold, supposedly a safe haven, is down 1.4%. Cryptos are down. Bitcoin's down anywhere between 2 to 4% depending on the time of the day.
In the bearish Bitcoin market of August, when everyone was selling or had put a hold on purchasing Bitcoin, Michael Saylor was buying more. He had purchased 301 Bitcoins amidst the crypto market capitulation. This is despite the fact that his company, MicroStrategy, has lost about $1 billion so far in the last year because of Bitcoin's devaluation. This move shows how much faith Mr. Saylor has in the world's foremost cryptocurrency, and in this interview he will be sharing why he still has so much hope in the crypto market, despite its struggles. Let's listen to him.
If you think about the paradigm shift when automobiles arrived, there's the famous snapshot in New York City where, there's just a bunch of horse and buggies, and 10 years later, it's all cars. And in that 10 years, you adopted it. And I remember, standing once on the Pantheon and, or on the Acropolis, and I'm like taking a photo and about to post it. And I think to myself, what's different about this? And I think, well, last time I was here, maybe a decade ago, I had no smartphone. I had no iPhone. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. You couldn't post it. There were no, digital photography didn't exist. So a decade goes by and you're like, you're trying to remember, you remember back in college, I went to college. We didn't have laptops, Yeah. So when I was in college, there were no laptops, and I thought, well, what if I'd had a spreadsheet when I was doing engineering? I went with an HP 15C calculator, and we had notebooks, and we wrote down 20 pages of calculations in a notebook with the calculator, and I remember seeing people saying, well, you got a calculator? We use slide rules, and you fast forward a decade and people have laptops. You fast forward another decade, they have internet. You fast forward another decade, they've got YouTube and simulations. And now you're starting to question whether or not you even needed to go to college at all. Maybe you could have just sat at home. So every decade, there's some profound paradigm shift. And the thing that hits you about a paradigm shift is it's such an out of the blue idea that no one can conceive of why you would even want it. So, it took a while before people thought maybe radio waves have a place, right? Or maybe electricity has a place in the world. And why would I want a railroad?
Ford Motor Company started operations as the first real commercial automobile manufacturer in the U.S. in 1903. At this time, the roads of America were traversed by horse-pulled carts and carriages. By 1917, horses had become an obsolete means of transportation. Mr. Saylor believes he would be seeing a major disruption, similar to what we have seen the automobile cause in transportation. The internet revolution came and changed everything. The technological revolution and the infamous dot-com crash of the year 2000 has been compared to the crypto market. Amazon, which is the largest surviving company of that era, lost 90% of its value in just a few months, when its stock crashed from $5.1 to $1.1. Today, Amazon stocks are trading for over $110, which is a rebound Bitcoin evangelists believe we would see in Bitcoin in some years to come. Michael Saylor also lost $6 billion in the dot-com bubble burst. Many financial commentators believe that his faith in Bitcoin will be his final undoing, but Mr. Saylor remains resolute. He says we've seen major paradigm shifts in all industries, and this change would happen to investments and finance, favoring Bitcoin in the long run. So he thinks there's no cause for alarm, even with the market in decline at the moment.
In 2020, the monetary inflation rate tripled in the U.S. And what we saw was in the world's best economies, you're losing 15 to 20% of your economic value in the currency every year. In the second tier economies, you're losing 30% or more. Like the Japanese yen is down 24% against the dollar in the last 12 months. Right. And in the tertiary economies, you're losing 50, 60, 70% of the value in the currency. And that's where you get a Sri Lanka, where literally the entire government collapses, or what you're seeing going on in Africa and Zimbabwe right now, or famously in Lebanon, where people have been breaking into banks, taking people hostage to get their own money back. Right. The bank robbers are robbing banks, and their demand is give me my own money back, because the government stole the money, and the banks froze it, devalued it, and they're going to give it back to you over the next 17 years, devaluing it 20% a year while they trickle it out to you.
Michael Saylor points to the global economic stresses as a factor that puts Bitcoin at an advantage. The Chinese yuan has dropped to lows it last saw in the 2015 global financial crisis. The yen, which is the third most traded currency in the world, dropped from 115 per dollar to 134 yen to the dollar, a value loss it last saw 20 years ago. In contradiction to Mr. Saylor's confidence in Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency has lost more valuation than the major fiat currencies. Not everyone is on the same boat with Michael Saylor. Many prominent investors and financial stakeholders are calling out Bitcoin, and they believe it would eventually fail. Jamie Dimon, who's the chief executive of JP Morgan, has come out recently to call Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies a decentralized Ponzi scheme.
This is very interesting that I want to share with your listeners, which is I track the financial markets since we embarked on our Bitcoin strategy. So here is what's happened since August 10th, 2020, when we adopted Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. Bitcoin is up 65%. MicroStrategy stock, and MicroStrategy's bought almost $4 billion, not quite, but nearly $4 billion of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy stock is up 66%. So we are tracking slightly ahead of Bitcoin. The S&P is up 14%. The NASDAQ is up 4%. Whoa, 4%. All of big tech is up 4%. Gold is down 18%. And, bonds, the ultra safe bonds, long-term bonds, down 18%. So in terms of asset classes, the crazy volatile Bitcoin is the best performing of all those major assets.
In August 2020, Bitcoin was trading for $11,700 that year alone. Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy had bought over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor says today that investment has a hedge of 65%, which is more than the 14% S&P 500 has, and much more than Nasdaq's 4%. The volatile cryptocurrency has also obliterated gold, that has had a loss of 18% within this 2-year period. While Mr. Saylor is right about Bitcoin being more profitable than any traditional asset class in the last 2 years, or on a longer-term basis, we have also pointed out some of his assertions that are wrong. Time would prove if he's right about Bitcoin changing the whole financial system. For now, it's wise to take all details into account before making any investment. We would like to hear your investment approach. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It's always appreciated. See you in the next video.